Baking cookies with Grandma. When I was a little girl, I spent almost every weekend at my grandmother's house in the countryside. Her name was Lucia, and she had the warmest smile and the softest voice. She lived in a small yellow house with a big garden, a wooden fence, and a kitchen that always smelled like vanilla, cinnamon, or fresh bread. Out of all the things we did together, my favorite was baking cookies. Every Saturday morning, I woke up early, even before the birds started singing. I jumped out of bed and ran to the kitchen. My grandma always stood by the counter, wearing her favorite green apron. She looked at me and said, "Are you ready to bake some love into these cookies?" We always started by washing our hands and preparing the ingredients. She took out the big mixing bowl, the measuring cups, and the old recipe book she wrote by hand. I always asked, "Can I read the recipe today?" And she always nodded. We measured the flour, sugar, and butter. I usually spilled a little flour on the table, and sometimes I forgot to crack the eggs properly. One time, I dropped an entire egg on the floor. I felt embarrassed, but she just laughed and said, "That's okay, sweetie. Accidents make good stories." After we mixed all the ingredients, we rolled the dough on the table and cut out shapes with cookie cutters. She had stars, hearts, animals, and even one shaped like a moon. I always chose the cat shape first because cats were my favorite. While the cookies baked in the oven, we sat at the table and drank hot chocolate. She told me stories about her childhood, about how she learned to cook with her own grandmother. I always listened carefully. Her voice was calm, and her stories were like little movies in my head. Soon, the smell of the cookies filled the kitchen. We took them out of the oven and waited for them to cool. That was the hardest part, waiting. But my grandma always gave me one warm cookie before they were fully cool, just because she knew I couldn't resist. We ate the cookies together, laughing and smiling. Sometimes we shared them with neighbors, sometimes we saved them for Sunday. But those moments, just the two of us in the kitchen, were the sweetest of all. Now, many years have passed. My grandma is no longer with us, but I still remember everything, her voice, her hugs, and the way her kitchen felt like home. I still use her cookie recipe, the one she wrote just for me on a little piece of paper that I keep in my drawer. Every time I bake cookies, I feel like she's standing beside me again, smiling, whispering, "You did great, my little chef."